Hello and welcome to part 2 of our ConnectWise BMS Mastery Series. Ask Me Anything. This week we're going to be talking about projects and project management. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Lynette Polzin. I am a software training consultant here at ConnectWise on the education team. I am based out of Wisconsin. I currently do the business management suite of products, but I've been at ConnectWise on the education team for about 2 years now, just over. Prior to that, I was working at a couple of MSPs, and I have come to ConnectWise because I just love helping partners improve their process and get more out of the ConnectWise suite. And with me is John.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is John Laurie. I'm a senior partner success manager here at ConnectWise. I'm based out of the Tampa, Florida office. I've been with ConnectWise going on 11 years now. Spent most of that time working in product support, product consulting for PSA specifically. And now I work on the partner success team where I help our partners leverage the investment they've made in their ConnectWise tools to kind of get a return on investment, to use the products most efficiently to help them run their business and achieve their vision of success. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you, John. We are also joined by Vikas from our product department. Vikas, if you want to give yourself an introduction.
Sure. Hey, hi everyone. I am Vikas Thalod and I am a product manager here. And I have been with ConnectWise for last 5 years and I'm based out of India. And right now I'm handling reimagining of project module. So what you will see today, I have worked with partners to understand their requirements and reimagine the project module they had. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And so you talked about the reimagine, and that's one of the first things that we're going to look at here today. Is our first question is, how do I use the new Kanban board? That is one of the exciting new features of the reimagination screen of the project. So I'm going to give you guys a little preview here. If you're not familiar and using it yet, we'll show you how it works. So I appreciate and love the fact that you can see the Kanban board from the project board. So you can go to Kanban from here and see all of your projects. So in this case, we're going to open up this project. We do have tickets here. We can, from this ticket in the Kanban board, we can enter any information, enter a start date, give the assignee, but we can also drag these cards around into our different columns and our different statuses. So if this is going to be on hold, we can take it from that open and put it there on the on hold and put any notes in on why we moved it to on hold maybe. We can also put in the notes and our time, as well as any dependencies and scheduling. So, and the Kanban board can be opened from individual projects as well if you want to just see that project. But I think as a project manager, this is a great opportunity to see everything right from one screen. John or Vikas, do you have anything you'd like to share on the Kanban board before we move on to our next topic?
So if we talk about this Kanban which you just presented, this is to show all projects at one place, right? So it helps project managers to find out statuses of multiple projects they are handling. And what they can use here is like on the top, they have a filter which they can use to filter out tickets and or the projects based on the project board. So these filters are very useful, right? Because it helps you find out based on a particular status, based on particular type of projects, or if you want to look into some assignee that he is assigned to different projects, what all tickets he is assigned to, how busy he is. So you could be able to do that, and also based on the company. And in future, more and more filters will be added, and it will become more and more powerful going forward. So this will be one place to handle multiple projects for project managers who are handling more than one projects at a time.
Yeah, the other thing that I would add here from a tactical perspective, these cards are awesome, right? They show you, the hours budgeted to each task. If you hover over that icon, you can see who's assigned, if anyone is assigned to the task. Also, if you have subtasks, right? If you're adding a task list to the individual ticket, those can show up here. You can see the status of them by clicking on it and opening it. And then, yes, the drag and drop functionality, the ability to click on the tile, add time, add notes, Those are all things that kind of really speed up how partners or how we can use this screen to kind of move tasks, update tasks, and do what we need to do to move on to our next assignment in a project.
Thanks, guys. So I am going to move on to our next question. And this one I'm going to let John talk about because you have most experience, I think, with our finance on it. But I think partners often wonder, when should they use a fixed fee project versus an actual rate project? And what are kind of the differences in those?
Yeah, this is a great question. When we talk to partners, when we do product mentoring on projects, a lot of the partners we talk to, most of the time, they're either doing a fixed fee or an actual rate project, right? And so the difference is, right, we've kind of worked with the customer, we've developed a statement of work, we've scoped out what needs to be done, we've presented that to the customer. And for a fixed fee project, we've said, okay, these are the tasks we're going to complete, and we're going to do that for a fixed dollar amount, right? And so when we set the project up, right, whether we're converting it from a sales order or opportunity, or if we're creating it manually, on the finance tab of the project, right, we're setting it up as a billing method of fixed fee and putting the amount that we are going to bill, right? And this just covers the labor portion of the product, not any product. Any products that you add to the project that are billable, bill outside of that fixed fee amount. But once you set a project up to be fixed fee, the advantage there is that your team can put billable time against the project, and that's not what you're going to bill. You're going to bill that fixed fee amount. And so if we have our teams accurately entering time against these projects, tickets, these project tasks, we can see how many hours it's actually taking us and the cost of that versus what we sold it to the customer for. So we can kind of refine the methodology of generating these fixed fee projects, right? And then from a reporting purpose, because the team, the project is set up as fixed fee, again, my team can put billable time against the project, right? So we can see their actual billable utilization. We're not having to default that time to do not bill or no charge, because we're only charging a flat amount and not the actual rates that the customer is adding to the project, or to the engineers are adding to the project. So again, right, that fixed fee option allows us to control what we're billing the customer. It allows our teams to enter time against those projects and look billable and utilized. And if we are entering our time accurately, we can get a good idea of how profitable the project was, and specifically how we forecasted it, right, in that scoping or statement of work building process versus what we actually delivered. And that's really where the power of the work plan and getting those budgeted hours set up to match what was sold, why that's all so important. For actual rates projects, right, what we're saying is, this is our best guess, our estimate of how long it's going to take us. But if it takes us more or less than that time, that is what we're going to bill you. But again, right, in the finance tab of the project, I can put in estimated labor revenue and estimated labor cost. So the project manager, again, can compare what was forecast to what we actually deliver, right? And so while there's not as much liability with an actual rate project, there's still the desire to kind of come in close to what we told the customer, to make sure the right expectations were set. And so by using the estimates in the finance tab of the project, we can compare forecast to actual, and again, make sure that we are refining our quoting process and getting those statement of works built out accurately. So we're giving our customers an accurate estimate of what we expect to deliver on. Yeah, those are some of the main things we see, or main differences between fixed fee projects and actual rate projects.
And I think it's so important, John, that we make sure that techs are still entering their time, even on those fixed fee projects. We still need that accurate representation, so we know if we're underquoting or overquoting this, and we can adjust our numbers appropriately. That is the big thing, is looking at those reports and reviewing those hours. We can also mix fixed fee and actual rates in phases on the project. So maybe you have a couple of portions of the project that you've quoted that we're installing this hardware. This is the fixed fee, no matter how long it takes us. But maybe you have some a phase for incidents that come up, or things that they add to the project. That project creep. Always nice to have somewhere that we can keep track of those requests and bill them at the actual rate, so that they're not going to affect our margin that we originally quoted the project for. And the last question we have today before we get to your questions is we wanted to talk about what is the most efficient way to schedule project tickets. Now, we know that the scheduling option is coming for the new reimagination screens, but we can still, in the existing, use that project dispatch portal, which I think is the best way to get those project tickets onto everyone's calendar. It is, again, just the drag and drop of these tickets that we can do here. Find our tickets. Get into our project, and we can take any of these tickets and just drag them right up here onto the calendar for somebody. Put in that time, we can see their availability and know exactly what we're looking at here and when they have the time to do it. And then we can update our Gantt chart and go look at the schedule from our project itself. John, anything you'd like to add? Or Vikas, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would like just to touch on the project ASIO templates right now. One of the things that was added recently is the ability to set dependencies in these new templates, right? And so if I have a task that I'm budgeting for X amount of hours and it's dependent upon another task, and I know the duration of how long it's going to take, then that can really help me when I'm building out the project plan, right? Because now if I have these dependencies in place, right, where I know if there's going to be any lag time, or it really just depends on the completion of another task, I can build that dependency into the project template. And then when I'm scheduling that project, I'm going to see, okay, based on, what I have for the start date and duration of the dependent or of the task that needs to be completed first, I can see when another task needs to be or will be available to be scheduled if everything goes on plan. And can start looking at the dispatch portal to see what resources are going to be available in that time frame. So this ability to kind of add these dependencies and in the lag time really can help us streamline the process of scheduling projects as we move forward and start using the new UI more and more for different functions.
Absolutely.
I just want to add few things here. More functionalities will be coming in project templates. In future, you would be able to even add assignees, ticket type, subtype, and items. So our goal is like to help in scheduling more and more. And with these capabilities, the way we are going in the direction which you are going in, like with the reimagined dispatch portal, the moment you import a template, you would be getting those assignees if, just in case if you have similar person working on similar task. And if not, then based on project ticket type, subtype, and item, we will be matching it with skill. There will be linking between skills and ticket type, subtype, and item. And it will automatically suggest you who are the best match in the given time frame based on your dependencies, based on the duration, who are the best match. And then it will create a schedule for them. And you just have to readjust based on your best understanding, like, if you want to change it to someone else, etc. So this is going to be very useful. We are going to make template more and more strong so that it can reduce your time to create a project and also help you to manage project similarly, like, all projects are of similar kind. So it's going to be very helpful in future.
I love how ASIO is taking more use of those skills that we can add in for our text and helping us more intelligently, and even the AI then can help us assign these tasks and tickets to the appropriate resource. So that's awesome. So those are all the questions we had, all of the information that we wanted to present. I am going to unmute microphones, and if anybody wants to jump in with a question that they have, either feel free to type it in or type it in the questions, or feel free to unmute yourself and jump in the conversation. Don't be shy. If you have a project question, feel free to throw it in the chat or jump on. I promise we won't bite. I don't know, gentlemen. It looks like maybe we answered all of their questions for the day. Nothing pressing in projects. I know I'm excited about the reimagination screens, and I can't wait to see what is still coming. Can you explain progress billing? So progress billing can only be done on fixed fee projects, and it would be then you would do a work in progress invoice. John, do you want to give us a little more information on that?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's used for fixed fee projects. It's used for, you know, billing a percentage of the work that's been completed, right? Or not really a percentage, but an amount of work that's been complete. So in other words, if I set up a project that's, a fixed fee, it's a longer project, right? And so from a cash flow perspective, I don't want to wait to the end of the project to bill the labor portion that my team is working on. I can go to the invoicing wizard. I can drill into the line item that includes the fixed fee amount for that project. And one of the options in the dropdown is to create a progress bill, right? And so when I go through that wizard of creating the progress bill, I'm going to see the total amount that I can bill for that project. Let's say in this example, 10,000. And maybe we've got 25% done and we want to bill 2,500 for labor. And so we generate that progress bill for $2,500, and then the balance of that fixed fee amount stays in our invoicing queue, so that it's there for us to bill later when we've completed more work. And so this is great if you're not billing the project up front with a down payment invoice, but you do have a longer project and want to get some cash flow for the labor as you're completing tasks in that work plan, in the agreed upon statement of work with the customer. You always want to create progress bills if you're not finished billing the project. And so, I can do this multiple times up to the total amount, fixed fee amount that I'm going to bill the customer. And then the final invoice that you generate will be a standard invoice. And the time entries as well that flow to the invoicing queue, even though they're billable, right? They're not going to be billed to the customer. It's just an opportunity to show the customer the work that was completed as part of that fixed fee amount that they paid. And so you can include that in the invoice, or, right, you can also hide that information if you don't want to share the details. If that's not something that necessarily brings value to the customer, they just want to know that the project was complete and the agreed upon statement of work was completed. That can be, those details can be hidden as well with your invoice template. So you have some options there, but that time entry does flow to the invoicing queue in case you do want to show the customer what's been completed, or the notes and the level of effort that they're getting in correspondence with that fixed fee engagement.
John, do you recommend or have any best practice of a work in progress invoice versus maybe billing for phases separately?
Yeah, I mean, the phases really are good if you have locked in milestones, right? They're in that statement of work. So I can set a phase up to bill separately. I can say we're going to charge X amount of dollars for this phase. And that is really something that's valuable on a longer term project, right? Where we may have multiple milestones that we're looking to achieve in it over an extended period of time. And so we want to kind of, organize the project in such a way so that when we complete a milestone, we bill that customer for the milestone. And so in those types of cases, a fixed fee invoice is not required, right? I just set my phase up in my project work plan to bill separately. I associate a fixed fee amount to it. I make sure that the team is putting time for that phase all against tickets within that phase, so I can track level of effort versus what we're charging, so we can make sure that we quoted it correctly and we know what our margins are for that fixed fee amount, right? That for that labor. And then, within that work plan, we can set when we want to bill it. We can have a billing start date, or we can set rules, right? The phase has to be closed in order to bill this, or the project has to be closed, which probably won't work for most. But you can't set it by date or by the phase being closed, or you could just decide, like, when you've gotten that phase closed and you've gotten sign off from the PM, that you can go ahead and bill that amount. Whereas with the progress bill, right, we're not breaking it down by any specific phase or milestone. We're simply acknowledging maybe that all of that wasn't built into the statement of work. What we're simply saying is we are going to bill what we agreed upon that we would charge for the project in increments as we complete those increments. They're not necessarily tied to any phases, right? So if we don't have that kind of built out where we said this particular milestone is going to be completed by X date, we're going to charge you X amount for this milestone, and bill when it's completed. If we don't have that built out into the statement of work, then the progress bill of the fixed fee amount kind of gives us some flexibility on longer scope projects to get some cash flow to collect some payment for work that's already been completed. And then that's where those time entries that show, what you've completed, what you've done can be useful to show the customer as well, right? So they know why they're being billed, for a portion of what they agreed upon at this point.
And correct me if I'm wrong, excuse me. I know with the down payment invoice, it doesn't charge the taxes. And so those work in progress invoices don't as well. The taxes aren't charged until the full project, until the final invoice, correct?
That is correct, yes. Especially with
I think that's the difference kind of between billing the phase, is that at the end of the phase, it would charge the fixed amount plus the taxes versus work in progress isn't going to do those taxes. So I guess it all depends on how you want to do your tax payment on some of those bigger projects. Any other questions? Great question. Thanks for that. Well, if that is all the questions we have for today, I'm going to thank everyone for attending. So happy you could join us for this, and definitely check the university calendar. Use the QR code here to check out our other sessions. Next week, we are doing finance. So get all your finance questions ready, put them out in the virtual community, bring them to the chat, and we can get those questions answered for you. Also, thank you, John and Vikas, for joining us today. We have been happy to be here and look forward to seeing everybody next week.